Hey everyone, Kyle Walker here. If you love cars, fixing things, or just want to understand your vehicle better, you're in the right place. I share hands-on tips, smart driving advice, and straight-up car talk without the fluff. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and stick around till the end. You don't want to miss what's coming up. Let's get into it.
Motorists who prefer to do their own maintenance and repair of their vehicle are probably well acquainted with such an element as the camshaft, or simply camshaft. If someone is not so closely familiar with the device of the machine, it is worth saying that the camshaft is located directly in the powertrain. At the same time, this element plays a crucial role in the operation of the engine. When describing the characteristics of the car, they say about fuel consumption, power, horsepower, and speed. But all these parameters very much depend on the performance of the camshaft. Therefore, it is extremely important to know what this node is, how it functions, and what malfunctions can occur. What it is. Let's start with where the camshafts are located and what this element is for. The camshaft used to be located at the bottom of the engine, but then the designers switched to an overhead location. This way engines were supposed to run better and more efficiently, which turned out to be true. The camshaft acts as the main element of the timing, that is, the timing mechanism, in engines operating on the principle of internal combustion. Everyone knows that the engine performs its work by burning the fuel-air mixture, which, pre-mixed, penetrates into the cylinders. This affects the working pistons. They move and thereby set the crankshaft in rotation. Now it is important to consider one point. Cylinders need to receive fresh portions of air and fuel mixture in time, plus timely release them from the burnt mixture. This is impossible without coordinated and necessarily synchronized work of pistons, valves, inlet and outlet, which clean and fill the cylinders. All these tasks to control these elements performs a component of the gas distribution mechanism, which is called the camshaft. Closely interacting with the crankshaft, this component of the timing mechanism is responsible for the timing phases. That is, in time opens the valves as well as closes them. Now concerning where the necessary automobile engine camshaft is located. As noted earlier, it is located in the engine. But this does not completely allow you to get an answer. Located in the engine, the element stands directly opposite the intake valves. If we talk about what an automobile camshaft looks like, it is basically a rod on which a certain number of so-called cams are placed. These cams have an irregular shape and rotate along the shaft axis. Their number depends on the number of intake valves on the power plant. On both sides of the cams are also support journals, which allow them to be held in bearings. Much of the performance and wear of the part depends on the efficiency of the oil passages. To allow oil to flow into the camshaft, there is a through hole with leads that go to the cams and support bearings. Device of the part. It is necessary to understand in more detail the device of the camshaft of the engine. There are three main elements that form the basis of the camshaft and provide its functionality. Cams. The core of the part is a rod made of metal, but a much more important role is played by the elements strung on the rod, called cams. If you make a cross-section of such a cam, you get a drop shape. As many valves as there are in the car, so many cams are provided on the shaft. Each cam is responsible for one valve. When rotating, the complex shape of the cam allows it with the help of additional mechanisms, rocker arms and pushers, to press on the valve, thereby opening it. This allows the exhaust gases to be discharged or a fresh mixture of fuel and air to be introduced. The opening of each valve is synchronized with the current position of the cylinder pistons. On modern cars, it is realized with the help of chain or belt transmissions that connect the crankshaft and camshaft. Journals. In addition to the cams themselves, in the design of the shaft in question, there are also support journals. Bearings are put on them. These are a kind of intermediaries between the camshaft and the place of its installation on the engine. On modern engines, the location closest to the valves is chosen, i.e., in the cylinder head. Oil passages. Each camshaft necessarily has its own lubrication system, and it is extremely difficult to overestimate its importance, because lubrication prevents wear of the rubbing elements. Oil supply is carried out through a special through hole, which has an exit at the necessary areas. These are outlets on cams and support bearings. Understanding the design feature of the automobile camshaft, the functions of the main elements of the mechanism itself, it is possible to understand the tasks and essence of such a component of the engine much better. Principle of operation. As already found out, the camshaft has a special form of cams located on it, bearings, as well as its own lubrication system. At the same time, it works together with the crankshaft. And here many people are interested in how many revolutions the camshaft makes, and how many of them are made by the crankshaft. If the crankshaft makes a certain number of revolutions, the rotation of the camshaft is 2 times less. The camshaft, making, let's say, 4 revolutions, is slower than the crankshaft exactly 2 times. To realize these rotations, different engines use gear, belt, and chain-type gears. The shape of the cams ensures the creation of those very phases of timing, i.e., the opening of the valves occurs at the right moment for efficient engine operation. By changing the shape of the cam, motor performance can be improved. Using tappets or working directly through the hydraulic compensators, the cam pushes on the valve and opens it. The open valve then closes gradually and smoothly. The shape of the cam is specially adapted to the geometry of the valve tappet. The cams are positioned at a certain angle on the shaft, which forms the corresponding phases. Depending on the motor, the angle may vary slightly. If the engine has an electronic control unit, the shaft is additionally equipped with a special sensor. The controller monitors the position of the camshaft, due to which the fuel supply and the work of the valves are synchronized. Read also, express change of engine oil in the car. Features, pros and cons. As a result, the camshaft turns out to be an extremely important component of any internal combustion engine. Types. As for the varieties of engine camshafts, they are categorized based on their location and number on the internal combustion engine. The camshaft is a key component of the timing mechanism and the entire engine. Depending on how this element is located, 2 variants are distinguished, with a lower location, with the upper arrangement. Hence the division of internal combustion engines with upper and lower camshafts. Once the lower arrangement was considered the best and most optimal for automobile engines. But they were relevant until the 50s of the last century. It was then that all motors were created of the lower valve type. Therefore, the camshaft was located at the bottom of the power unit. The valve plates were placed so that they looked upward. Such a scheme of motor production was explained by the fact that it was easier and cheaper in terms of production. At the same time, the performance factor suffered, which the engineers realized a little later, when a new variant of camshaft placement appeared. Taking into account the objective disadvantages, the old scheme with a lower location gradually began to be abandoned. It was replaced by a classic and familiar scheme with the cylinder head and valves and camshaft installed in it. Now the valves began to open downward, and the scheme received an upper camshaft arrangement. Although it cannot be denied that even some modern engines continue to use the bottom shaft system, where the valves are located on top. Only it is much improved compared to its predecessors, and therefore has every right to exist with competent implementation. Engines with a lower location of the camshaft are distinguished by the fact that there is additionally provided for the installation of special rods. They are used to compensate for the distance that exists between the cams of the camshaft and valve tappets located in the cylinder heads. Even though there are modern lower shaft internal combustion engines, they are considered an obsolete scheme, and therefore most automakers have long since not used it in the production of their power units. Such methods of placement require additional measures. They are characterized by impressive technological limitations, do not allow you to develop high speeds. If you apply the principle of the upper location of the camshaft, it allows you to effectively squeeze the full potential out of the internal combustion engine. This is currently the best option for powertrains used by car companies. Number of shafts engine types are considered separately depending on how many camshafts are provided in their design. If you look into the underhood space of a modern power unit, you can meet several variants. Timing mechanisms, GRM, equipped with only one camshaft. Timing mechanisms, the design of which includes a pair of camshafts, engines with more than 2 camshafts. It is the first 2 types of internal combustion engines, where the timing mechanism includes 1 or 2 camshafts, that are the most popular and common. Often the number of camshafts depends directly on the number of valves per cylinder. If the engine design provides for 3 or more valves per cylinder, a double camshaft arrangement is most likely to be used. Despite the presence of such rules and patterns, exceptions are always and everywhere. The company Mitsubishi from Japan produces the Model Lancer, under the hood of which can be placed an inline four-cylinder engine, called as 4G18. On each cylinder there are 4 valves, but the camshaft is used only one. And if we take as an example the model of the hypercar Veyron produced by Bugatti, that is, the designers provided at once 4 camshafts on the engine. Read also, choosing the best engine between atmospheric and turbocharged. There are other examples of a slightly different approach to the use of the camshaft and its design. Japanese engineers from Honda have come up with an original move for their system called VTEC. Here, several cams are responsible for adjusting the lift height of only one valve. That is, there are several working cams on each of the valves. Engineers are constantly working on improving the timing systems, increasing the efficiency of the timing, changing the phasing. All this allows to increase engine performance, raise its maximum speed, provide better acceleration. At the same time, they do not forget about fuel economy. Characteristic faults. It would be fair to call the camshaft a fairly reliable and durable engine component. Often the part wears out only by the time of the first serious repair of the power plant. For motorists who have at their disposal an engine without the presence of hydrocompensators, it is recommended that every 10 to 15,000 kilometers to check the clearances of the camshaft equipped with rockers and adjust them as necessary. Regardless of the type of internal combustion engine, in all motors, the degree of tension of the chain or belt of the timing mechanism is necessarily monitored during operation. They are more limited in their service life than the camshaft itself. Distributor shafts belong to the engine's rubbing parts, and therefore mechanical wear is considered to be the most dangerous phenomenon for them. Another characteristic malfunction for the camshaft is bearing failure, oil seal destruction, and deformation. If the camshaft elements fail, it starts a chain reaction, as a result of which other components of the power plant are broken. Breakage of the camshaft is usually caused by natural wear and tear of the element, low oil pressure in the lubrication system, use of low-quality oils, deficiency of oil in the system, violation of the engine temperature regime, mechanical damage. In the case of mechanical damage, the most common damage is to idler pulleys and timing belts, which have a limited service life. When the timing belt breaks, the camshafts themselves can be severely damaged. As a result, several of the most common camshaft failures can be identified: mechanical failure of components, bearing wear, cam wear, shaft deformation. This is not necessarily due to natural wear and tear. Many motorists are faced with the problem of factory defects. This involves design flaws, design errors, or the use of low-quality components in the manufacture of the camshaft. But this is mainly found on budget cars. Determine the malfunction that occurred in the camshaft. You can buy a characteristic knock. It appears at the occurrence of the considered breakdowns and malfunctions. But not always the cause of knocking is in the camshaft itself. Also, extraneous knocks sometimes occur if the motorist has poured bad or unsuitable engine oil into the engine, or the fuel supply has not been properly adjusted after intervention in the system due to repair or replacement of components. All this leads to loss of synchronization in the process of operation of engine cylinder valves and cams. As a result, the motor loses its power, begins to consume significantly more fuel, and unstable operation in different modes is noted. To a large extent, the viability and duration of operation of the camshaft depends on the literacy of engine operation. If you follow all the rules for maintenance and upkeep of the motor, the camshaft will be able to work throughout the life of the engine until the overhaul. Sometimes, even after a major overhaul, the old camshaft remains in good condition, which allows you to continue to use it. Replacing camshafts on internal combustion engines is an extremely demanding and complex task. It requires mandatory pre-checking and refinishing of the surfaces as necessary. If this is not done, the new camshaft will wear out very quickly. Eventually, it will completely fail within a short period of time. Specialists note that when there is a need to replace the camshaft in the engine, it is extremely important to replace in parallel all the elements working in direct contact with the camshaft. In conclusion, the camshaft plays a crucial role in the performance and efficiency of a car's engine. By precisely controlling the timing and movement of the engine's valves, it ensures optimal airflow and fuel combustion. Understanding how a camshaft works helps us appreciate the intricate engineering behind modern vehicles. Whether you're a car enthusiast or simply curious about how your vehicle operates, recognizing the importance of the camshaft enhances your knowledge of automotive technology. Thank you for watching, and we hope you gained valuable insights into this essential component of your car.